Hi, my name is Kerrie, and this is my dog Lucy. She's a rescue, and we think she's about 13 years old now. Um, and we're not sure because she's a rescue of her breed, but we also think she might be a soft-coated Wheaten Terrier, at least a partial soft-coated Wheaten Terrier. She is a spayed female, and she was only spayed, I'd say, when she was like 10 when we got her, because she had lived on the streets. Um, and we do not have any other pets in the household. And so Lucy is, she's really, really attached to me. That's probably why there aren't any other animals. And she follows me everywhere. She loves my husband, but I'm the one who feeds her. And I would say he gives her more love and attention than I do, petting her, talking nicely to her. But anyway, she seems to be very attached to me. So I'm interested in doing a nutritional evaluation um, because I want to learn the best possible way to help Lucy to live longer and to feel okay while she is, in her senior years. I am willing to adjust her diet, but it can't be a whole lot more than I'm already paying, which is like $55 for a 28 pound of food, dog food bag. And um, I'm not really sure about options for that. So I want some questions answered, like should she be on a senior food? Should I give her raw? I've heard a lot about that. Um, I also want to know if I can help with her arthritis and her hip dysplasia by changing her diet. And I want to learn just more about nutrition and how that might help her live longer. I feel like Lucy's body condition is just right. She seems to be a good weight for her size. Um, and I'm going to say I have noticed, though, there have been some changes to her body condition. In the last year, she has gotten especially bony. Like I can feel every single one of her vertebrae as I rub my hand over her back. I'm not sure the exact reason, but could be because she's just getting so much older. Um, and she weighs 51 pounds, so it seems to be a good weight, based on her size and her apparent breed. And that's a current picture of her, so maybe um, she looks a little underweight or overweight to some people, but I feel like she's just fine. Next question, please, is what the type of activity that she gets is mostly, she's indoors. We live in a condo complex, and so she does not have access to a fenced-in yard. Um, I do take her for walks, and I take her almost always twice a day, or I have a dog walker. And when I take her, it's usually equivalent to about 1 or 2 blocks at the most, although she could go longer. Um, she kind of gets stubborn and doesn't want to come in or turn around and go back towards home. But the complex that I live in isn't very big, so we kind of maxed out our length. Um, and I do take her like really short at night just to do her business, but it's not a full walk. And sometimes I let her off a leash, and you can see like the woods behind our house, but not often. And what her activity level is like during the day is pretty minimal. She mostly just sleeps like an older dog would. So you're asking me if Lucy has any health or behavioral concerns, and that I want you to know about. And I do. I have several health concerns for sure. One is you'll notice that she's losing a lot of hair on her back, and that's really only started recently, I'd say in the last 4 to 5 months, and that's been during the winter. She wears a coat when we go out, and she has a harness that does go over that, but the coat goes under her harness. So I can't say it's from the harness rubbing. And she is, because of her age, it's not like she's out there running around and I'm having to pull on her harness. I don't pull on her harness at all. Which brings me to why I don't pull on her harness is because she does have arthritis and she has really pretty severe hip dysplasia. So if I do pull on her harness, then she can fall over. As far as behavioral concerns, I guess the only concern I have about her is she tends to beg a lot, and I guess I am guilty of enabling that. When we got her 2 years ago, she was probably 10 or 11, and I just had this philosophy of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So I just feed her when she's at the table. I know, bad dog mom, and I feed her when I'm cooking in the kitchen. It's generally healthy stuff, but anyway. So the question you have is she taking supplements for joint issues? And yes, she is. She gets glucosamine every single day, and I buy them from Trader Joe's, and each tablet is 100 milligrams, or I'm sorry, each tablet, I don't know exactly how many milligrams it is, but she also gets carprofen, which is good for her hip dysplasia and her arthritis. And that's from the vet, the carprofen. So it seems to help her, I guess. I don't really know. Can't say much about the hip dysplasia and the correlation between taking the glucosamine or not, because she had that kind of the same hip dysplasia behaviors where if you pulled on her leash, she could fall over before she was ever taking the glucosamine or the carprofen. Um, so all about Lucy's feed is that she eats natural balance, limited ingredient. Right now she's eating lamb and rice um, kibbles for adult dogs. And she's only been on that for about 4 weeks. But previously she had the same brand, just a different flavor, duck and brown rice. And how much I feed her is based on what I read on the bag and her weight. I give her uh, 1 cup 2 times a day, and once in the morning and once at night. And then I chose the large breed formula because, she weighs 51 pounds, so she isn't a little dog, like, say, a little, lap dog that would eat those tiny little kibbles. And I know she isn't really considered a large dog like say, a 70-pound lab, but it just made more sense to give her the bigger kibbles, I guess. Um, and I am interested in giving Lucy possibly a new dog food, like senior food, that might help her. I haven't switched yet because, I read the ingredients on the bag for the senior food, and on the, description, it said that it's added glucosamine. And so I figured, why am I um, getting a senior food that may be actually more expensive than the adult food because of the supplement, if I'm already giving her the glucosamine in a tablet form? So Lucy's appetite isn't that great, unless of course it's human food, then it's fabulous. But she doesn't dive into her food as soon as I set it down. For example, in the morning, I let her out, and then when she comes back in at 6:30, her food is put down. She rarely does anything but sniff it. She might try to pick out the glucosamine tablet that's chewable that I put in there, but hardly ever dives into it. Um, and so this is her, kind of checking out the food, but never just goes in and starts eating it. Um, so what have I done to encourage her to eat this? I added something called meal mixers, and they're little freeze-dried tablets. They're about an inch long, and I crushed 3 of them into her food. And at first when I started doing this, let's say for like the first 2 weeks, she actually really dove in and started eating that. But now she kind of just tries to pick out the little bits of the freeze-dried food. But I do want to tell you about one of her behaviors. So if, say, I'm sitting at lunchtime at the table in the dining room and she hasn't eaten her breakfast yet, she'll try to beg from me. And if I don't give her anything, then she will go in and start eating the food. So it's almost like we're eating, she's eating. And that can happen at dinner as well. If she hasn't eaten her breakfast and my husband and I are eating our dinner, say at like 6 o'clock, then she'll actually start eating her breakfast. So then what I do is I wait like an hour and then I give her her what is supposed to be her dinner, and it might be at like 7 o'clock. If she hasn't eaten whatever meal it is, by the time we go to bed, I pick up her bowl and I take it away because in the past we have had issues with mice, and I don't want to attract mice again. So the Stella and Chewy's, is it is I think by weight, but uh, regarding the volume size, I measured, and 3 of the little tablets that I crush equal 1 tablespoon, and I do that twice a day. So I'm sure you can figure out the math based on what percentage of a cup that is. And treats, yeah. So I give her Trader Joe's peanut butter and banana, and it says they're grain free. And so how many treats I give her, kind of fluctuates, depends on, um, the walk we're on, how many people we see, but on average, it's about a half a cup. And so that equals 9 of those little bones. So I would say on average, it's about 9 of these little bones a day. So the only other kind of training I might use the treats for besides her barking at the people on walks is when I want her to come in. Say, for example, she oftentimes doesn't want to come in the house, and so then I bribe her with a treat, or like we're walking and she decides she doesn't want to go home yet. So I have to bribe her with a treat. I do give her human food, and I give her pizza crusts, I give her meat chunks, and the size can vary, but I would say like a pizza crust would be about, no, I don't give her that whole chunk that you see, but I would say the crust itself, probably about 2 to 3 inches, and a toast crust might be about 1 inch, and a chunk of meat might be about 1.5 tablespoons. And supplemental foods that I offer her, there really aren't any other foods besides what I've talked about, other than here or there something that might fall on the floor, like a piece of cheese or something. Um, so I do want you to know that I have a little bit of background in how to be a smart dog mom. And so I read the label and I look to see what the first ingredient on the bag is. Like, for example, I'm aware that it's not a good thing to have fillers like corn. So, if that's high up on the list of the ingredients, then I wouldn't buy that bag. Um, but there, as far as wanting to know more about the nutrition side, I, for example, am really curious about this kick I have seen in pet stores and heard people talking about and read about animals going grain free. So, like, would it be better to buy the dog food that says grain free? I've heard a lot of conflicting stories, and I just, would like to know more about that. Um, yes, I'd like to summarize my top priorities for moving forward. My biggest priorities are knowing if I'm feeding the right food and treats for an older dog. For example, how do I pick what is best? I'm interested in raw or senior food. And like, for example, are Trader Joe's treats good for her, or are they just really cheap filler kinds of treats? And then what can I do to support her joints with nutrition? And finally, what can I do to make sure that she lives a quality life um, as she gets older and into the future?